Hi, I'm Captain Bauman with the Boss Team.
And I'm Lisa, Health Promotion Coordinator.
Today we're going to be talking about the hip flexor stretch. Okay, so one of our last videos we talked about how to know if your hip flexor and your quad are tight. This video is about how to properly stretch that hip flexor muscle. So I use a term, tailbone tuck, okay, or posterior pelvic tilt, which is kind of hard to conceptualize sometimes. So we're going to start with just that preparatory motion, and then we'll lead into how to actually do the hip flexor stretch. So Miss Lisa's going to demonstrate for us here. So when you're doing this at home, you're going to have your legs propped up like you would for your sit-up, okay? And you're going to start with your back arched up, okay? This just makes it easier to know what right feels like, which is the next step, okay? So if you can place your fingers underneath your low back, then you are having that back arched, okay? Now, we're gonna tell Miss Lisa here to draw that belly button down towards the spine and tuck the tailbone under. This is rocking the hips kind of back and down towards the floor. This is exactly the motion that you're gonna want to use for your hip flexor stretch, okay? So just for a couple more times here, back is arched, okay? And now we're flattening the back, tucking the tailbone under, okay? And you should feel the core muscles engage and the low back muscles stretch a little bit, okay? All right, Miss Lisa, go ahead and sit up for us. We're now gonna move on how that is connected to the hip flexor stretch. So you're gonna have Miss Lisa take a knee. I do recommend doing this on some kind of padded surface. It helps a lot to prevent irritation to the knee, okay? So for example, right hip flexor, or the front of the leg and thigh there, are tight. So we're gonna have you start with your body weight directly over your knee, okay? And then we're gonna do that same exercise. Ms. Lisa, start with your back arched for me here, okay? So we know this is wrong, this is the bad form, okay? So we're gonna correct it. Tuck that tailbone under. So as rocking the hips under, you should start to feel a real tight pull along the front pocket area of your uniform or that front area of your hip. That's exactly what you're looking for. That's how you know you're doing it right. Okay, the other leg is going to be about 90 degrees or so, all right? And then Miss Lisa's going to take her right arm reaching up and over towards the wall here. Okay, where do you feel this stretch? Correct. Right in the front of the hip is where you should feel this stretch. You're going to hold this position 30 seconds. Okay, we're going to pretend 30 seconds occurred, so relax that arm down. So now we can get at different fibers of the hip flexor muscle. So we're going to ask Miss Lisa to turn your leg in towards the wall a little bit, okay? Same series of events. Turn the leg in, tuck that tailbone under, perfect. Reach up and over towards the wall, again, holding for 30 seconds. You're going to still feel this in the front of your hip. It'll just be a little bit different sensation over that same bit of muscle. Okay, pretending 30 seconds occurred here. Turn that leg out. This is usually the tightest position for folks, so just kind of move slowly. We're gonna move that out just a little bit more if you can. Perfect. Okay, rock the tailbone under. Great. And start with a kind of high five position. Some folks, this is really, really tight and it may be uncomfortable. If you're doing fine, go ahead and reach all the way up for the ceiling. If that's feeling okay, then go ahead and lean towards the wall a little bit for a better stretch.
So how much of my torso leans over?
So honestly, it's just how much you can do.
Okay.
So for me in this case, and I do like holding on to something, I feel like it's easier on the back, you can kind of relax the muscles. So if you're feeling a pretty great stretch right in the front of your hip and you don't feel like adding extra stretch, the intensity of the stretch should be around a 2 to 3 out of 10 discomfort. If you're getting 4 or 5 out of 10 discomfort, then you're stretching too aggressively. Back off. Delete the arm reach, lower the hand down, those kinds of steps. But there's zero benefit in reaching super far if you cannot keep your tailbone tucked under. That's the most important part. Okay, so that tailbone tuck is critical. Okay, so let's say that we've done all of this. Now you're not really feeling a stretch in the front of your hip anymore. Your quad is getting more and more flexible. It's time to progress this stretch. So a lot of folks have seen online the couch stretch. I'm going to use this container here. You can use a stack of books. You can use a yoga ball, some pillows, those same kind of things. Okay, so we're going to take that kneeling position one more time.
Oh, same leg?
Yeah, we'll do the same leg if that's all right. Okay, so staying true to form here, we're going to keep that tailbone tucked under. Body weight is right over the knee, okay? You can also use a yoga block. Yoga blocks work well for this, okay? So maybe we just start by raising the foot a little bit, Miss Lisa should feel a stronger stretch in the quads, the front of the thigh with this, okay? Where do you feel this?
Kind of the same place I felt before.
Okay, good. So let's turn this up a little bit. Okay. So we've increased that height. We're going to ask Miss Lisa to keep that tailbone tucked under throughout the stretch here. And as the foot becomes higher and higher, you should gradually start feeling a little bit stronger stretch in the front of the leg there, as well as the front of the hip.